Okay, on the request of the devotees, I will speak something about Sri Radha-Madhava and Dr. Fakir Mohan, the devotee who found Sri Radha-Madhava. So like with a sadhu, you don't see a sadhu, but you hear a sadhu first. And when you hear and understand the proper sadhu, then you can maybe see him. So that is what happened the first encountering with Dr. Fakir Mohan Maharaj. By the way, some people say Fakir Mohan Maharaj is not initiated in sannyasa, so why call him Maharaj? Some call him Prabhu. But in my opinion, there is nobody in this world more qualified to be called Maharaj than Dr. Fakir Mohan Maharaj. So that's why me myself personally and many others, they call him Maharaj. He was not formally initiated into that order, but for the most of us he was like the exemplary sannyas. So when our Guru Maharaj, Govinda Swami, left in 96, on the 9th of February, we traveled like 18 hours to go to Bhubaneswar and arrived the next afternoon. And there's the Govinda Swami, our Gurudev was put in Samadhi. And the next morning, we heard this very loud voice coming out of the guest room. And so that is the 11th of February 96. And I was wondering, what is this loud voice? And everybody was going down there and going to that room in the guest house. The room was fully packed. From outside, people were going in there. So I couldn't go near because it was fully booked, fully packed, and it stayed like that for the next couple of days. So basically, in '96, I only heard Maharaj speaking with a very loud voice, and I saw him from a distance, but I didn't have any association with him. And from Vyaspuja '96, again we went to Bhubaneswar, and there he still was in Bhubaneswar, and he was speaking to all the disciples of our Guru Maharaj, of our God brothers. When the Guru leaves, it's a very dark period. You should stay together and do your seva. Stay with the instruction he gave to you. And he was teaching and helping the disciples, our God brothers, the disciples of Govinda Swami. It's very different to do like that, because how can you, after the Gurudev leaves, go somewhere else? And so he was helping all the devotees present to behave like that. And in the years after, whenever we would come to Bhubaneswar, we would meet him. So the next time we met him was in Krishna Towers. And in Krishna Towers he was regularly giving classes in the morning, and sometimes also later in the day. And Madhavendra Prabhu, Bhaktirupa Prabhu, and many others of the local devotees would go there. And we would also go there when we would visit there. And we heard later on that Maharaj was a very good friend of our Gurudev. Actually, our Gurudev told about Fakir Mohan Maharaj that he is the one person in the planet who knows most about Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Fakir Mohan Maharaj, he explained to our Gurudev that yes, I'm trying to research where is the village where the native place, the ancestral place of Bhaktivinoda Thakur is from his mother's side. And he was on his way to find it. He was very eager to share it with Gurudev. And Gurudev told him, yes, this is a very important mission. We will fully support it. You will encounter many difficulties, but in the end you will succeed. So it was like one of the projects our Guru Maharaj authorized, and that's why as a disciple we are very eager to help in this seva. And so it happened in 1999 that Maharaj already had discovered the village of Choti, and in 1999 was a super cyclone where many houses in Orissa were demolished, also in the Kendrapara district. And there the deities of Sri Radha-Madhava were found. And perhaps somebody else can better tell it than me. So I will leave that to one of the other people present. And when they recovered Sri Radha-Madhava, he took care of them. They were in very bad shape, and so they had to be thoroughly polished. So one of the times when Radha-Madhava came to Vrindavan, all of a sudden it so happened that there was a Russian artist who after 10 years came to Vrindavan, and he said, I don't know why I'm coming, but when he came here, all of a sudden it was a kind of an arrangement that he came to like restore Sri Radha-Madhava. And Fakir Maharaj was so happy with that, that this is like one of the most beautiful moments I had with when Maharaj saw Sri Radha-Madhava after restoring. He sang one song, I do not remember which one, but it was in such a beautiful way. All the people present, they could see like it is a door open to Golok Vrindavan, and like Maharaj was reciprocating with Radha-Madhava. So that was like in the mid 2005, just before he became more and more seriously ill. So I will give the floor to somebody else, and maybe you.
So I'm going to sort of follow up on what Anupam Prabhu said, and had the great opportunity of staying with Maharaj in Vrindavan for a few years. And as you know, Maharaj, one thing you could was sure of, Maharaj never had a organized timetable. You could be sure of that. You know, he slept at a certain time, but he could wake up any time at night. So when he would wake up, I would wake up, and then he would talk about Radha-Madhava, and Radha-Madhava and Choti was his focus. So day and night, that would be his meditation. And you could see that even when he was sleeping, he'd be thinking of all the poems that Bhaktivinoda Thakura would be writing that would link the poems to Radha-Madhava and to Choti. So I'll touch on that because what do you say? How did Radha-Madhava appear? So the super cyclone is how they appeared. You're quite right. Just give you a little bit of feedback. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, historically, as we know, if you look at his autobiography, he was the headmaster at Kandrapada High School, and at that time Kandrapada was the main centre, and perhaps still is, of that area, Choti, and that all comes under the jurisdiction of Kandrapada district. Now, Fakir Mohan Maharaj, being a research student, understood that Sri Radha-Madhava, being family deities, should be within that region for two main reasons. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's ancestral land was Choti, and there were plots which were in the name of Sri Radha-Madhava and also in the name of Bimala Prasad Datta. Then to substantiate that, there were prayers and songs to their lordships written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur during that period. So Fakir Mohan Maharaj researched Srila Thakur's whereabouts and the chronology of prayers and songs he often mentioned. And the most famous ones we can think of are Jai Radha-Madhava Kunja Bihari and Jai Jai Radha Krishna Yugala Milan. Where here in Yugala Milan, here in the third verse, Maharaj would often state that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning Lalita Madhava's name. Sitting to the left of Lord Madhava is the beautiful daughter of King Vrishabhanu. So he's singing all these prayers to Radha-Madhava. And the sixth verse again in this prayer is Sri Radha-Madhava Pada, hoping to attain the lotus feet of Radhika and Madhava. So he'd often recite this to me. Say, look, these are the prayers Bhaktivinoda Thakur is reciting. So these were constant thoughts in his mind, all the songs. And so he was very convinced about the existence of these family deities. He said the land is there, the land is in the deities' names, in Bimla Prasad, the Datta's name. Where are these deities? They have to exist. So during that time, he interviewed a lot of people, and he came across an old lady in her late 90s, very old lady, he used to tell me. And she used to dance for Radha-Madhava. And she described Radha-Madhava, and she said Madhava was black and Radha-Rani was chak-chak. So chak-chak means shining, glittering, gold. So of course, we understood that Radha-Rani was made from brass. But when he interviewed the rest of the villagers, he went looking for those deities. He says, where are they? Nobody could locate them. They showed them many deities. Oh, this is Radha-Madhava, because obviously the land belonged to Radha-Madhava. So they wanted the land. So they would say, this is Radha-Madhava, this is Radha-Madhava. But the description didn't hold. It just didn't hold. See, he told me, he says, I was getting very disappointed. He says, I was crying. And they were telling him that Radha-Madhava were broken and they were submerged into the river. And he says, yes, he's a research scholar. He says, when I'm talking about Choti and Radha-Madhava, I'm not talking as a Vaishnava, I'm talking as a research scholar. He says, I'm a PhD research scholar, my reputation, I have to make sure the research is there. So he says, I can't talk whimsically. So he said, Radha-Rani is chak-chak. Radha-Rani can't be broken. He says, so Radha-Madhava is still there. And he knew that the villagers, especially the Rai family, which is a completely different story, he became even more convinced that Radha-Madhava was there because they had occupied the land of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. As you know, their descendants were disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. But that's another whole long story. So Maharaj knew from interviewing the old lady that Madhava was made from Nilgiri, black stone, and Radhika was made from brass. So his search continued, and he was getting very, very disappointed as time went on. He was saying, I was crying in my heart. And then in 1999, the super cyclone, everything in its path was eradicated, and practically everything was flattened. And near the temple, near the Durga temple, there was a Brahmana's hut which got demolished. But Maharaj told me, although the hut was demolished, the altar was still standing and Radha-Madhava were there. So they revealed themselves to him in that manner. And as Prabhu said, they were completely white. They were covered in white chalk, white dust. And Madhava was underneath. But he could understand that was Radha-Madhava. So how did Maharaj get custody of Radha-Madhava? He had to agree a price, which is a lot of money for the Brahmin because he had to repair that hut of his. So they agreed a price of 5,000 rupees. And Maharaj, he was very particular. He went to the courts and he says, now Radha-Madhava, you have to agree that I've given them to me and this price, and we got it all done in the courts. And so Radha-Madhava then came under the seva of Fakir Maharaj. So while, then there's a long story, and Maharaj came to Vrindavan, but I'll continue with the theme of his research. So Maharaj noticed on the altar of Srimati Radharani is inscribed Sri Rupa Das. So he said, that has to be Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but he can't just say it, he had to prove it. As a research scholar, he couldn't just say Sri Rupa Das. So he wanted to show evidence. And one early morning, he jumped out of bed and he had a eureka moment. And I think, what's happening? He used to sleep on the bed on the side. I said, Maharaj, everything okay? He said, now then, sit down. Because remember, he's reciting, he's going through every Bhaktivinoda Thakur song at night in his mind. That's how he used to meditate. Even before he used to go to sleep, he would be talking about Radha-Madhava and Choti. And first thing when he'd wake up, he'll be like, Radha-Madhava and Choti. So he says, I found the proof to substantiate that Sri Rupa Das was done by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he says, where is Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying, I am the dust of Rupa Goswami? And where does he say Bhaktivinoda Das? He always says Bhaktivinoda. He never says Bhaktivinoda Das anywhere. He says, I found a song where he says Bhaktivinoda Das. So if you look at this song, Narada Muni Bhaja Vina, this is the only song that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. He's referring to himself as Bhaktivinoda Das. And the last two lines of the song are Sri Rupa Pade, Yacha Kha, maybe I made a mistake, Bhaktivinoda Das. Bhaktivinoda, the humble servant of Lord, prays at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami. And there's another same verse where he's glorifying Radha-Madhava as well. So my brief was to just, Maharaj was very, very making sure that it was research based, it was not whimsical, it was not sentimental, that is, as when he was talking about Radha-Madhava, Choti and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it was based on evidence and research, and this is how he would substantiate it. And just tell everybody, he says it's not Radha-Madhava, you just give me 2 reasons, I'll give you 1,000 reasons why it's not Radha-Madhava. So that's all I have to say. Fakir Mohan Maharaj ki jai, Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, appearance and reappearance of Sri Radha-Madhava ki jai.
We met Fakir Mohan Maharaj, or knew about him in 1996, after my Guru Srila Gurudev left. And then he came to support his disciples. And I heard about that some sadhu has come to support our God brothers, God sisters, but I didn't know who he was. And I heard that he was in the guest house on the 2nd floor, and lots of devotees would go there, but there will only be Prabhus going. So, and often the room was packed. So then I never got to see him, and but later on I understood that actually I saw him, because I was expecting a big sadhu in orange and maybe a beard, very, like very learned. But as I recalled later, that often when I would go from our guest house to the temple, there is like a shortcut to go into the temple, that there would also Babaji in white would also enter the temple, and sometimes we would cross, and then he was very respectful, and he would wait until I would go, and I would wait until he would go inside, but he would always wait before that I could enter, and he was very respectful. And then later on, I understood that was Dr. Fakir Mohan Maharaj. And then we would go for Vyas Puja, August 1996. And then he had shifted from ISKCON Bhubaneswar Temple to the Krishna Tower, and he was giving classes there. And lots of God brothers, sisters, they went there to get some support, also get some nourishment. And then the next time we went, when we would go to Bhubaneswar, we would go to his classes. And then in I think it was 2000, when we went to Bhubaneswar, we heard that yes, Radha-Madhava are found, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Radha-Madhava, they're found. And we were like, Radha-Madhava found? And then I realized, oh, there's actually Deities, Radha-Madhava, and matching to the song Radha-Madhava. And so I was very curious to know who are these Radha-Madhava. And then we went to the Krishna Tower. He stayed very high up. And when I saw Radha-Madhava, I looked at them and I thought, wow, these are really ancient deities. And we heard that they were 500 years old, and I thought these these things only happen in stories. Like Madhavendra Puri, he found deities, and I thought, wow, this is special. And when I approached them, I looked at them, and I thought, yes, you really look ancient. You really look 500 years old, and maybe offensive, but this is what I thought, that you really need a good, painting and makeover, like. And next time when I became to India, then before I know, I was hooked up, and we were in Gurgaon at Navadvip Chandra's place, and then suddenly we got a phone call from Bhubaneswar that Fakir Mohan Maharaj is coming for Kartik, and he has Radha-Madhava with him, and so we went to the airport. They went to the airport and they came back with Radha-Madhava, and before I know, we were all engaged in doing seva for Radha-Madhava. So from that time on, very closely, every Kartik, we were engaged in doing seva for Radha-Madhava. He explained that when Radha-Madhava were found, then Choti Radha-Madhava Trust was formed, and the first chairman was Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. And Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj noticed that not many devotees go to Orissa, to Bhubaneswar, and if Radha-Madhava stays there, then no one will know about Radha-Madhava. So he decided that Radha-Madhava should come every Kartik to Vrindavan and stay on the altar of Radha Shyam Sundar in ISKCON Vrindavan. And then we became engaged by arranging outfits and jewelry for them. And Fakir Mohan Maharaj told me that Radha-Madhava, when they are in Vrindavan, they're like king and queens, and they should be dressed opulently and very nicely, and especially when they're on the altar, they should look very, nice. Chak. And so since then, we're trying our best with a group of devotees to make sure that Radha-Madhava, they come here to fulfill the desire of their devotee. And also Fakir Mohan Maharaj has mentioned in his testament, in his will, that even if Radha-Madhava will have a temple in Choti, they still will come every Kartik to Vrindavan to stay here on the altar. And also that there was some other thing, that they should come and stay on the altar even when they have to come. Oh yes, and because Shripad Maharaj is the first chairman, and his samadhi is in Radhakund, that he should, Radha-Madhava should visit there and hear the glorification of the devotee and their devotee and in Radhakund. So we're trying to every year to bring Radha-Madhava and make sure that they attend the festivals of the devotees. And it's very sweet that Radha-Madhava are like this. Is not that their worship is not like an awe and reverence. It's more like family and very merciful, very sweet. And Fakir Mohan Maharaj often said to me, Radha-Madhava, they're so merciful, they're so kind-hearted, and they're Bhaktivinoda Thakur's deities, their great-grandfather, and like grandfather, they're more merciful for their grandchildren. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur's deities, they're more merciful. And in the seva, I noticed that when I would go out and ask for help in Radha-Madhava seva, then usually Indian devotees, they would tell me, oh, I have so many seva, I have so many things to do. And but if I would ask foreign devotees, Russian devotees, they would all say, yes, I will make time. And in between like their seva, like in their lunchtime, or they would come and they would do seva. They would work very hard. They would sit on the floor, no special facilities, and they would do so much seva for Radha-Madhava. And one time I wondered, and I spoke with Fakir Mohan Maharaj. I said, I noticed this. There seems to be some connection between foreign devotees and Radha-Madhava. I'm not sure. Then he said, yes, Radha-Madhava, they love foreign devotees. And he mentioned also that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he made this prediction about that Russian devotees, Bengali devotees, American devotees, all together they will dance and sing in kirtan, glorifying, that prediction was made in front of Radha-Madhava in Choti Mangalpur. And then for me it was clear that Radha-Madhava really listened to what their devotees, say, and they make sure that now they're accepting lots of seva, and they're trying to give them mercy, so much mercy they're giving by coming here to Vrindavan and accepting so much seva. So during Kartik, when Fakir Mohan Maharaj used to come and he would give class, it helped us so much because he was speaking about the holy name. He was explaining and how important holy name, the chanting of the holy name is. And he made it very simple, very practical. He would say, you can chant with mala or without mala. You can chant morning, evening, doesn't matter. Even by taking shower or without shower, even while eating, and you can chant by doing seva. And he told me that when he was young, when he joined the temple, the Gaudiya Math temple, his family donated him, gifted him to the Gaudiya Math temple, that he was singing Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song and doing seva. And he said, yes, everyone wants to become president of the deity department, president of this and this. And he said, I was also president. And I said, oh, you were president? Yes, he said, I was president of the toilet cleaning department. And that showed how humble he was. And he would laugh and laugh and laugh by telling these jokes, and then laughing and laughing. And that was, to me, I thought sadhu, you have to be really serious, and it is like really awe and reverence. But with him, it was not like that. It was just like a grandfather, and he would cut jokes all the time related to Krishna conscious things, and he would laugh the hardest, the loudest, and it was really easy to deal with him. And I'm not good in making chapatis, but he tolerated, and he took chapatis, and sometimes he would look at my chapati, he would say, when I would take this, I think I will have a pain in my stomach. And then he would laugh. And like this, he was like a grandfather, very kind, very lovingly. It was very sweet dealings with him. And but in the same time, you could know he knows so much. He was writing so much. We would bring notebooks for him, and like this, like maybe 10, and this bunch of pencils we bring for him. But halfway through Kartik, it was all finished. It was all written down, and then I had to go to Loy Bazaar to get more pencil. He would show me, you have brought this, but it's all finished. He would practically write day and night, and always in Oriya or sometimes maybe English, and working on his thesis, PhD thesis, and he would sometimes give classes on that. And then we would find out, oh, he's writing about these things. So it was very, very sweet. And thanks to him, we have the great mercy to able to do seva for Radha-Madhava. And the more we do this seva, the more slowly more understanding is coming how important this seva is and how merciful he was to us and still is. And to be frankly saying, I cannot even digest or understand how great this mercy is. And sometimes I even wonder how did it come to my path, and I only think it's Fakir Maharaj's mercy, Srila Prabhupada's mercy, Srila Gurudev's mercy. He would often tell me that Madanalasa, you know, this seva is given to you by your Guru Maharaj, by your Gurudev. And I would think like, oh, and but often he would say like that, it's mercy from your Srila Gurudev. Because in the beginning I was hesitating because Radha Krishna deities, I thought, oh, maybe I should not. And then he said, how can you not do this mercy given to you by your Srila Gurudev? So only by mercy of the Vaishnava, by Guru, Sadhu, Vaishnavas. And he would also say, Radha-Madhava Seva is for everyone, for all. And we're trying with a group of devotees to honor this and make sure everyone who wishes to do some Radha-Madhava Seva, they can do. And one thing for last, one time, I think it was 2003, he during class, he suddenly said, whoever will do Radha-Madhava Seva, I can guarantee will get Krishna Prem. And then he was beating the floor so many times. He said, I'm saying it, not one time, not twice, but 3 times. And he was, banging the floor, and he was saying, whoever will do Radha-Madhava Seva will get Krishna Prem. I guarantee this.
Haribo.
Radha-Madhava ki jai,
Srila ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Fakir Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Shri Gaura Priyamurtare Shri Mate Bhakti Vallabh Tirtha Goswami Namine Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishnu Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha-Madhava. So I feel very blessed that the senior Vaishnavas have invited me here to have darshan of Radha-Madhava and their beloved devotees, and say a few words on their glories and on the glories of their beloved devotees. I'm not qualified to speak on elevated devotees and the Lordship, but somehow I beg at the lotus feet of Guru and Gauranga that I'll be able to say something of value and for my own purification. So I was very, very fortunate to somehow get the service both of Radha-Madhava deities and of their beloved servants, especially Fakir Prabhu, who kindly engaged me in their service. And that was when I was in India in 2006. Suddenly I get a phone call from Prabhu Prabhu in Switzerland that Fakir Prabhu is not well and not taken care of, and right now it's very difficult to arrange for a permanent seva. Please, you go. So immediately I packed up my things. I was here in Vrindavan that time, and I just bought a ticket and went. Off I went, and I arrived there, and basically he was bedridden. He was not able to get up for a long time, very, very weak, and I then started to cook for him regularly, made sure he took prasadam on time, because it was not just that he was recovering from a stroke, but also he was neglecting his body because he wanted to complete his work, his writing work. That time he was in a marathon for completing his Deities. That was like his life work on the origin and development of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in Orissa. And so he poured all his heart in there, and as already Navdeep Chandra Prabhu and Madan Las Mataji and Anupam Prabhu, they have said that how he was always completely immersed in the pastime of Radha-Madhava, Bhaktivinoda Thakura. There was not 1 second where his mind was outside of their pastimes. And because this is like a samadhi state, full concentration, so naturally you forget about the body. And so for us, if we imitate that, that would not be good because we are not on that platform. But for him, it was not that he was suffering, in this state. Like I remember once I came back home, I had to go to Kolkata for some time and come back. And I made sure he had enough money to go shopping, and he would go shopping because that was after he recovered. Within a few months he was fine again, and he went shopping himself, and he went again to courts. That's another pastime of his. He used to go to courts alone in the summer heat, you cannot imagine, taking buses for hours and fighting with the different people in court, in private. He took so much austerity for Radha-Madhava and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And I, as a young chap, I couldn't catch up with him. It was not possible. I had to rest, and he would be up till late night writing, reading, chanting. And so, I was just an instrument of the Lord to make sure that he gets his prasadam in time, etc. But really, he was a million times more helping me than I helped him. Like, I owe him so much. And there is even an interesting connection to Guru Maharaj, I should say, because when I was serving him, he felt obliged to reciprocate with me because I had questions. I was a newcomer in the Krishna consciousness movement, and he was the first sadhu that I served in my life, in this life. And so I asked him a few questions and he couldn't answer because he was so absorbed. So he said, "You just chant and you will get everything." And he said that with so much conviction, so much faith, that I just accepted. And I stopped asking questions to him. I was very inquisitive, I had so many questions. I read the Gita and then I wanted to know more, and I asked him a few questions about Achinta Veda Vedarshan and whatnot. He said, "I'm very sorry, I don't have time now, but you chant." It basically gave me blessings. He said, "You chant and you'll realize everything." And so I just accepted this because he had so much faith. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he used to say in Harinama Chintamani, he wrote that the only prerequisite to chant Shuddha Nam is Shraddha. That's all you need. You don't need anything else. You don't need to be a big scholar. You don't need to have a Bhakti Shastri, whatnot. You don't need to, have spent so many years in the temple serving as a pujari, whatnot. You don't need any of that. You only need faith. And faith can be gotten from those who have it. Like the Bhaktivinoda Maharaj used to explain. They were close friends since their early childhood. He also told me about those pastimes. And so he had that firm faith, and it was there in his eyes when he looked at you. So I just accepted it, and his blessings immediately, they bore fruits. Like I would sometimes wake up in the early morning and I couldn't sleep anymore. It was just like in my heart, it was like very, very powerful feeling of realizations of things that I hadn't even thought of. And so not just my questions were answered, but furthermore new inspirations came and new questions, and then those questions would again be answered. So it's really the mystic potency of the holy name that becomes unveiled by the mercy of the sadhus, which is a million times more powerful than your own efforts, your minute own efforts with, my filters and my ahankar and all my anarthas. It will not do much, but the sadhu's mercy is much, much more powerful. And he felt also obliged to make sure that I have a proper connection, because I asked him, what about taking initiation, whom should I approach, because he wouldn't give initiation to anybody, and at that time it was difficult to have such elevated Vaishnava association. And he said, you don't worry, you just chant and you serve, and you will get everything. You will get, in this life, you will get a pure devotee as your guru. And not only that, you will get realization. And so by his blessings, also I came to the lotus feet of Srila Guru Maharaj. And so he was one of those devotees who really blessed me, so I could take shelter of a pure devotee. Without these various devotees, it would not have been possible. And interestingly then, Srila Bhaktivinoda Tirtha Goswami Maharaj, my beloved Guru Maharaj, gave me the name Radha-Madhava Das. So it was like something going full cycle, It was very mystic, everything, And so his blessings, went full cycle, came back to him and the seva he gave me. And it was really, really amazing experience that I hardly ever even shared with many people. So it's for me very emotional experience also. And so also what they have in common, my Guru Maharaj and Fakir Prabhu, they have the same age. At the time when my Guru Maharaj entered Samadhi, they were both 94 years old. Because we don't know much about his age, we are not 100% sure about Fakir Prabhu, but that's what we assume. And both were born on the Avirbhav of the Supreme Lord. Guru Maharaj was born on Ramachandra's appearance day, and Fakir Prabhu was born on Krishna Janmashtami at midnight. So very, very special. And they're both Naishtika Brahmacharis, and very, very much attached to the holy name and to Kirtan. And so this connection was there in many, many ways. So I feel very blessed that through the mercy of Fakir Prabhu and other senior Vaishnavas, I was able to get this connection and shelter. And so even if you don't get what you had in mind from a certain Vaishnava, you get more than that. That is my personal experience with sadhus like Fakir Prabhu. And they have this vision that we don't have. We are basically blind compared to them, and we cannot do anything. They have this divine vision, these eyes that are having the salve of love. Prevanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. So that is what we need, that is what we are lacking. And they can see, like there were some incidents that, for example, once we were staying in Krishna Tower, that time when I came in 2006, and so just opposite was the Krishna Balaram temple, and sometimes the brahmacharis would come also from the temple and visit and have darshan of Sri Radha-Madhava, and they would affectionately bring some Mahaprasad from Krishna Balaram for us. And so they gave it to me, and I gave it to Fakir Prabhu, and he would relish it. And he would smile at me and say, "Are you happy?" And I said, yes, I'm happy. This is Krishna Prasadam." And he says, "Yeah, this is Krishna Prasadam." and that time suddenly I had like a little bit of pride or some kind of funny thought in my head, and maybe it just came out for a good reason, so I could learn something. And I said that, "But I want Krishna Prem." So I said, "Yeah, this is nice. This is Krishna Prasadam, but I want Krishna Prem. I'm so advanced." So how do I do this? Yeah. So then he looked at me, and with full conviction, he said, "This is Krishna Prem." And I was like, "What? I'm holding Krishna Prem in my hands. And you know, I was flabbergasted. You know, how can I understand this vision that he's having? I want to also see how is this Krishna Prem? And then he said, Krishna Balaram are sending their prasadam to you.
Mm.
So then it went like boom in my heart. I was like, wow. You know, for me, I was always thinking Krishna Prem is, okay, I have to get this in my heart and then I offer it to Krishna. But there's also, Krishna Prem also means that Krishna has Prem for you. And out of his love, out of his Prem, he's sending you his prasadam. So when you get that prasadam, you should realize that this is Krishna Prem. And you should relish it and accept it and honor it in this loving mood. And so this wonderful vision that the sadhus have, that really, really inspired me a lot. And then we heard already how Sri Radha-Madhava appeared to Fakir Prabhu. Again, that is his love that attracted them. Like Madhavendra Puripad, his love attracted Gopal, who was there in the hill, you know, in the mud, waiting for years and years, maybe centuries, who knows how long he was in there. And then when Madhavendra Puripad finally came, then what did Gopal tell him? I waited for you all those years. I was bitten by ants. I was in torrents of rain, in the cold of the winter, in the heat of the summer, but I waited for you, my dear Madhavendra. I wanted to be worshipped by you only, by my pure devotee. And so how long Radha-Madhava were there, we cannot imagine. And when Radharani was when they were discovered, Radharani was black. Yeah, she was covered so much in soot and in dust that had been, you know, like aligned on her body. And so I was just remembering that in Imlitala the other day, where there is a diorama of Radharani crying in Mansarovar, crying in separation for Krishna, and she turns blue also. So she was like that, black like Krishna. And so they waited so long for their pure devotee to finally discover them. And that in 1999, like you were saying, Navdeep Chandra Prabhu, that the super cyclone came and uncovered the houses. And then he peeked inside and he discovered them there. And then he had this interesting exchange with the Brahmana, who was devastated because his house was broken. And he said that, I'll fix your house if we can make this deal, you know. Like very formal, but in his heart he was dancing, of course. And so they made the deal, and at that time Senan Prabhu was very kind to give the donation for the money for that deal. And also he hosted Fakir Prabhu in Bhubaneswar and Krishna Towers all these years. And so by the efforts of so many devotees, this was really able then to take to manifest. And I was not there at that time, but when I was there was another manifestation from my point of view of Radha-Madhava again appearing to me that may be a little interesting. I can share with you. It's also a wonderful story. And so in this story also we can understand that, you know, the sadhus, they have a different vision than I have as a mundane person with mundane vision. So at that time, it was also 2006, 2007, that time, Radha-Madhava were being taken care of Sachidananda Prabhu in the Bhagavat Mat in Kendrapara. And so this is around 3.5 hours bumpy bus ride from Bhubaneswar. By now maybe the roads are better, but that time it was terrible. And so Fakir Prabhu took me and we would go up and down. And mostly they were there, and we were in Bhubaneswar, he was writing. And one day we get a phone call from Sachi. And he says, "Bring Radha-Madhava immediately!" And then he got very excited, Fakir Prabhu. He told me, "Get the suitcase and go and get them." And I'm like, what can I do? You know, I'm this newcomer. I don't even have first initiation. What does become second initiation? No training, formal training, the temple, nothing, right? And he just puts me on a bus and sends me off. And I'm like, no, wait, let me get some brahmacharis from the temple who can, you know, properly worship and take care of Radha-Madhava. He said, "No, you go and bring them." So I was like, okay. I accepted his order. I got in the bus, and because that time he couldn't come, there was some issue with his health. I think he had to take some medicines or something. And off I go with a suitcase in my hand, and my heart was beating like anything you can imagine. So I go there, and on the altar of Radha Nikunja Bihari, again, look at the mystic connection. Jaya Radha-Madhava Kunja Bihari. So they were staying on the altar of Nikunja Bihari, Radha Nikunja Bihari. And there I was putting the deities in the suitcase. And why, by the way, did he call? That's also interesting. Do you know this story?
No.
That night before he called, someone had climbed over these huge walls. You know, they're like 2.5 meter high walls. Huge, big, fat boundary walls. And they stole the Western toilet. Can you imagine? From the mud. And I don't know why, maybe because it was like a new thing over there, because actually Fakir Prabhu requested me to do some seva, because, you know, he was always very welcoming to especially Western devotees, like Madan Das Mataji were nicely explaining. And so he requested me to install a Western toilet there. And I said, yes, of course, you know, we'll do it. And then arranged the mystery, and with my broken Oriya, somehow we managed to have it fixed. And then suddenly it was gone. And so Sachi was very excited because, you know, the new Western Komot is stolen, and come immediately and bring Radha-Madhava, they're no more safe here. And so it was a big drama, right? Everyone was super excited. And when I came back, I mean, I was like, you know, in the bus, I had to choose between holding Radha-Madhava here and falling down because there was no seat, right? There was no seat. It was like so cramped in the bus. Or then sitting down somewhere half on a half seat, and then I had to put Radha-Madhava between my legs because otherwise it would like fall down from here and there. It was just, so I had to actually have them between my legs, and I was like just praying to the Lord, please, you know, forgive me. I'm a great offender, but this is all I can do. And so it was really, really a challenge, but a very sweet challenge, because when I came home and I opened the door to the ashram, Prabhu was there like a big smile. And I was like, where are they? Where are they? He was so excited, you know, like it's like a boy, you know, and he always, to me, like to you, he was like a grandfather. And the grandfather usually, you know, he's again like very childlike simplicity, huge eyes and big smile. And when I opened the suitcase, he was like all shining, beaming. And so then we put them on the altar, and then he looked at me and he smiled. He was very happy, and he said, now you worship them. I said, what? Me? Them? You know, I mean, I brought them, but now, you know, you are Pujari, and the Pujaris from the temple. I was thinking, you know, some Pujari will have to come. And he was like, yeah, you. So again, I was like, I'm completely unqualified. And again, he blessed me. He just calmed me down and said, you just chant more, and Harinam will take care of everything. He had so much faith in the holy name. There's no need of any other extra effort. You just chant with full, firm faith and conviction, and everything will be fine. So I had to chant more, plus the seva. And already I was running basically the whole ashram. I was like running around from morning till evening with, you know, going shopping, cleaning, you know, cooking, whatnot, right? Everything that needed to be done. So for me, like, the math didn't add up in my brain, and I was getting a little agitated. And I asked him, but okay, I do this, and on top of that I chant. So how does it all fit in? Like, I just couldn't get it, you know. And he said, don't worry. When you chant more, everything will automatically be taken care of. Automatically. I said, okay. I just gave in, you know, like I just surrendered, like I couldn't do anything else, right? And then the next morning I got up really early, started chanting, and somehow or other, I still don't know today, to be honest, it just all fell in place. And just all worked out. And, you know, I did Seva Puja, I cooked for them, and whatever was required. And of course that was very, very blissful time of my life. You can imagine. He is in the room chanting his shlokas in ecstasies and singing all Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur songs and writing, and I'm, worshipping the Lord, Radha-Madhava, and so that was really, really merciful of him. And then when I started the service, I still had some doubt, not in his words, but I thought that I'm disqualified for this. I should just make sure. My duty is I bring a good sevak. I bring a qualified pujari. So I wrote to all the leaders in ISKCON. I wrote personal letter, please send at least one sevak. Great service opportunity. Radha-Madhava, the deities of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who would not want to serve them, who would not want to have the personal association of such an elevated sadhu also every day, and hear Bhagavatam class also and everything. And to my great astonishment, there was not one reply. I sent out at least 10 emails, right? And personally handed over letters also to great leaders. I'm not going to say any names, but you can imagine the big, big leaders. And then I said, Prabhuji, how is it possible that nobody even replies to letters? I was like amazed. How is it possible? And he said, he was laughing like a child, He said, you still don't believe me. I said, what? He said, they came for you. And I was like blown away. I was like completely blown away. And then that moment I realized when I went back, I had like a flashback. When he sent me there, then he explained to me that all this happened just to bless me. The toilet, that I installed the toilet, then the toilet was stolen, and then the Lordship, they came personally and I had to bring them. So this is the divine vision of the sadhus. Like, I can never see, what actually happens, but they see everything from the proper angle with the salve of love. So this is really the wonderful quality of a sadhu, that he sees the Lord's plan everywhere. Tatenu kampang susamikshamana punjana evatma kritam vipakam Ridvagva Purbir Vidadan Namaste Jiveta Yo Mukti Pade Sadaya Bhak. Everywhere, and Sri Guru Maharaj used to say that this Susamikshamana is very important to understand. Ikshamana means to see. Samikshamana means to see with a lot of attention, and Sa also means, beautiful, Sundarya. But Susamikshamana means to see with extra effort, with emphasis. So much endeavor and care at every moment you have to endeavor. It's a meditation. It's like a samadhi state that you have to be in constantly. Then, if you're in that state, you will see the Lord's mercy everywhere. So this is the vision of the sadhus that they have, and this is what I am lacking. And so when we get in touch with the sadhus, then we get a glimpse of the reality of Krishna's mercy. And so Radha-Madhava, like Manalas Mataji and other devotees were explaining, they have a special affection for foreign devotees and devotees who are not yet initiated. Because often devotees would come, teenagers, right? And they didn't have initiation yet. Most of them were foreigners. And Fakir Prabhu would immediately just engage them in the service. Like Gopal would come and he would offer candles with so much love. And then once I saw the candles lying around and I offered a candle and he chastised me like anything. Because that's Gopal's way of worshipping the Lord, and I cannot imitate that, right? Because I know that it should be ghee lamp, but Gopal doesn't know, so for him it's perfect. It's a perfect reciprocation with the Lord. And so the foreign devotees, they got so much mercy to fulfill also Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prediction that in the future all the foreign devotees of all countries together will unite under the banner of Harinam Sankirtan. And so to really spread this movement of Harinam Sankirtan and to make sure that his devotees' words don't go in vain, Sri Radha-Madhava, they engage many foreign devotees, and they always come here in Kartik when the whole world comes here, and when so many other foreign devotees also get chance to do some service, like Sundaranam Prabhu, my dear godbrother this year, he got the mercy. So there are so many devotees like Sundaranam Prabhu who get this mercy, and it comes to them like a big surprise, like causeless mercy. Like in my case, it was really causeless mercy. Like you can understand when you look at me, like zero qualification. So that's why they're so merciful. And this prophecy is happening now. We can see devotees are gathering in front of Radha-Madhava from all over the country and all over the world. They're chanting the holy names together. And even in the future, this is a statement that my Guru Maharaj once made in Sri Mayapur Dham. He said that it is possible, because someone was having some questions about how is devotion in the foreign countries going to continue in the future. Is it going to be better or worse? He said that in the future, even it is possible that devotees of the highest order will take birth there in foreign countries. Wow. And even it's possible that at that time in India it will be difficult to find. But in the foreign countries it is possible that they will take birth there. So again, this is the proximity of the sadhus. They are aligned, and so Fakir Prabhu with Bhaktivinoda Thakur's and Deities Radha-Madhava and then Guru Maharaj, how they're all aligned in their heart with the prophecy and the flow of mercy into all the countries. And so this mercy of Mahaprabhu that's spreading everywhere by the mercy of the great sadhus is really a rare treasure. And if we can somehow get just one chance of serving great sadhus and their deities, we get immense treasures that open up. Just like you were saying that those who just do a little service of these beautiful deities of Sri Radha-Madhava, definitely they'll get Krishna Prem. And so this is really so merciful that they engage us, because they are busy in their services. They really don't need us, but somehow or other the Lord makes us serve them forcibly, because they would not fall ill actually. They fall ill only to give us the chance to serve them. So I had the chance to serve him, and externally I was taking care that he, again was able to get up and do his daily duties. But actually it was the mercy of the Lord to engage me in his service. And sometimes I would come home and there was nothing in the fridge. Like after many days I'd come home and he was just right in there. And of course he hadn't eaten and he hadn't gone shopping, and the money was still exactly the same that I left. And for me it was like, oh no, I should have come back earlier. I knew this was gonna happen. But it just shows that on that stage they're beyond the body. They really don't take so much notice even of the body anymore. And so every morning he was up chanting, and when I was up he was also very happy. He was always blessing me, and he never told me to get up earlier or anything like that. He just gave me so much inspiration, and by that inspiration all these things automatically happened. Like it's really like an overflow of like inner realizations that come, that then make you get up early in the morning. Because sometimes devotees ask, when should I get up? How should I do this? How should I do that? So it's really by serving the sadhus that you get all these realizations, and then automatically these things fall into place. And this was the realization that I had in the service of Sri Radha-Madhava and Fakir Prabhu. And of course, I had faith in him in the first place because, I was there in Switzerland with Srila Govinda Maharaj's disciples, and they used to tell me about his glories. And then he was the first sadhu I met in the Zurich temple, the new Jagannath Puri Dham temple. And so somehow this relationship was established. And then when Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj came also, I realized that they were very close friends. In fact, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, he was so close to Fakir Prabhu that he secretly sneaked out of the GBC conference in Mayapur, and taking only one brahmachari in the taxi, he used to come and visit Fakir Prabhu in Bhubaneswar. So they had a very, very close relationship, and of course also Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. And so I knew, and also from direct statements of Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj about his exaltedness, that this is a great chance for me to serve. And you see how he was a universal sadhu. He was never saying, I belong to Gaudiya Math, I belong to ISKCON, I belong to the Babajis. Never. Not one time I heard of him any such statement of institutional affiliation. He only said that we come in Bhaktivinoda Dhara. And this line of Bhaktivinoda, it will go on eternally. Also my Guru Maharaj always used to emphasize this. The line of Bhaktivinoda will never end. It will always continue. So all we have to do is focus on serving in this line. And that was his day-long and night-long meditation, nothing else. No external affiliation was prominent. And that's why many people today, they don't even know who was his Harinam Guru, who was his Diksha Guru, because it didn't matter so much. The outcome is much more important. The way he inspired so many people and the way he was able to connect devotees of all backgrounds, of all institutions, and unite them. He had that power, like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, to unite everybody and inspire everybody. And they would let behind all these sectarian questions and fights and quarrels and whatnot that Kali is trying to make us, divert from the real bhajan. And he would just start a kirtan, in the middle of his class suddenly, and that was what really caught my heart in Switzerland. Suddenly he starts a kirtan, and then he embeds the entire class in that kirtan, It was really it was amazing. Gauranga bolite have Pulaka Sharira Gauranga bolite have Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari bolite na Yane Babe will I be able to overcome this material vision, the material desires? Only then, when I hear the name of Lord Gauranga, then I will cry, then my hairs will stand erect. And Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to say, what is the meaning of Hari Hari Bolite? Very beautiful. It's not just me saying Hari Hari and then crying in ecstasy, it's Hari himself. And what is he chanting? Hari. Hari himself is chanting Hari and realizing the glories of Radharani, her Mahabhav, her ecstasy and then crying streams of tears. So this is only possible when Nityananda Prabhu, he showers his mercy. The sadhus, they give us this divine vision. Without the sadhus, who are the manifestation of Nityananda Prabhu, we cannot have that divine vision. It's not possible. Then only by their mercy we can give up the material desires. Yeah? And then, Kabe Hama Herabo Shri Vrindavan. Only then, after, by the mercy of the sadhus, we can give up material desires, and then we will see the real Vrindavan. We will see real Radha-Madhava and real Vrindavan. So this is the power of the sadhus. By their mercy, then through this Sankirtan, we can realize all this. And so Fakir Prabhu, he was always connecting everything so very beautifully with the kirtans. And then he would elaborate, on all the verses of Bhaktivinoda Thakura and Rupa and Sanatan. Rupa Raghunatha Pade, Hoibe Akuti, Kabehame Bhujabo Shri Jugala Piriti. By the mercy only of Rupa and Raghunath, I will be able to understand the divine couple, and I have true affection for them. So this is the way that Fakir Prabhu used to put these gems into our heart through kirtan, through engaging us directly in the service of the Lord, and through amazing, deep research that we cannot dream of such research. Like his whole life, he was completely immersed. It was like constant meditation. And when you are in such a state of meditation, then that attracts all these gems that he found, because this is like a universal law, when someone is constantly focused on something, then that very thing is automatically pulled to that person. So in this way, through his constant focus and meditation, Radha-Madhava, they revealed themselves to him. And so it is really only by the mercy of the sadhus that we can have this wonderful opportunity of serving Sri Radha-Madhava today, of taking shelter of pure devotees, of being inspired also to come to the holy dham. And so I'm just paying my innumerable pranams to Fakir Prabhu, all those devotees who I'm eternally indebted to for engaging me in the service of Sri Radha-Madhava, including all of you present here. And I pray to you that you always keep me engaged in the service of Sri Radha-Madhava and the great sadhus connected to them. And this is my prayer to your lotus feet today. Vancha kalpatarusya, Patitanam Pavani Vaishnavi Namo.